Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Arshad Zahir, your course instructor for this subject of Operations Management on behalf of ComSET's Institute of Information Technology. This is our lecture number 8, and I hope you all are busy with your coursework and must be working with your assignments and quizzes as well. Let's have a brief review what we discussed in the last class. In the last class we discussed a very important topic, that is the linear programming, and we defined the linear programming that it is referred to as a mathematical technique which helps us to obtain the particular organizational objectives. And then we also defined that there are two prime objectives which are to be resolved or achieved by this technique of linear programming, that is the maximization of profit and the minimization of cost. Then we discussed about some requirements of a linear programming problem. In all the linear programming problem, we generally have a objective function, or we'll have to make an equation which represents our objective function. That objective function again may be in the form of profit maximization or in the form of cost minimization, and finally at the end of this linear programming technique we should have to attain this objective function. Then along with the objective function there are some constraints. Now these constraints should also be represented in the form of equations or in the form of inequalities. So by analyzing a particular problem and the situation, we will have to convert our constraints in the form of equations or inequalities. Then there are also some non-negative constraints, and non-negative constraints are sometimes also there in these kinds of problems. For example, if you are interested in some decision variables and x1, that is x1 and x2, and of course the value or the quantity of the product x1 or x2 cannot be negative. So in this case there will be a non-negative constraint, that is x1 and x2 will be greater than 0. Such constraints are generally referred as non-negative constraints. So in linear programming problems there is an objective function, there are some constraints. Then we can use different methods. The most popular methods of linear programming in order to solve the different problems are ISO profit line method, which we have already discussed in the last class. Then the graphical method, we also discussed and solved a problem about that graphical method. And there is another method which is known as simplex method, and we said that we will do it later after having a sort of practice with the graphical method. In the last class we solved a problem which was actually a solved example from your textbook of Hazer about the shader electronics example, and I told you the different steps about linear programming, that how should we progress in resolving the problems related to linear programming. Then we discussed in detail the graphical method of linear programming problem, and what are the different graphical steps involved in the graphical method. That is, first of all we will have to define again, that is the constraints, and then one by one we will convert these constraints, inequalities, into the equalities, and then we will put the values of the decision variables one by one equal to 0, and finally we can have the two different points about a particular constraint, and then we'll have to draw all of these points on the graph paper, and accordingly we can use either the ISO profit method, or we can use the corner point method in order to find out that what is the best combination of the two decision variables through which we can achieve our objective function. So we have already discussed all of these steps of solving the linear programming problems by using that graphical method, but today we'll of course do some practical examples, and we'll try to again go through those steps which are involved in solving the linear programming again by using the graphical method. Now class, this is a very simple example of maximization problem. This is your objective function, that is z is equal to 5x1 plus 6x2. So what we will have to do, we'll have to maximize this objective function. And I told you in the last lecture that generally we denote that objective function or the profit maximization function by that z, and in some books that can also be represented by f. You can also be represented represented by some other letter. So this is our basic objective function. Now what are the constants? This maximization of the profit must be subject to these two constants. Now we have represented this these constants by the equation number 1 and equation number 2. What is the first constant? That is 3x1 plus 2x2 should be less than or equal to 120. In the last class we learned an example that how we can make these constants from a practical scenario. Now suppose that these constants are already been computed in the form of these inequalities. Then the second constant in this particular example is 4x1 plus 6x2 is less than or equal to 260. So these are the two constants for this linear programming problem. Now here x1 is greater than or equal to 0 and x2 is greater than or equal to 0. Now so again, suppose x1 may be the quantity of some products, so it cannot be negative. So that's why we say these sort of constants as the non-negative constants. So these are the two non-negative constants. Now class, we have already discussed that how we should solve these sort of problems. Again, we will follow the same step. That is, first of all, we will take the first constant, we will convert into the equality, and then we will put the different decision variables, which are x1 and x2 in this particular case, 1 by 1 to equal to 0, and then we will calculate the value of the other decision variable. The same process will be repeated for the other constant. Now let's take the first constant, that is 3x1 plus 2x2 is less than or equal to 120. Now that is equation number 1. Now let's suppose we put x1 is equal to 0 in equation 1. We will get from this equation 2x2 is equal to 120. And if we divide this equation by 2 on either sides of this equation, we will get the value of x2 is equal to 60. So we actually get a point about this equation, that is the 0, 60. That is the x coordinate is equal to 0 and the y coordinate is equal to 60. Then again we will put x2 is equal to 0 again in this equation 1. We are talking about the equation 1. Then the value will become as 3x1 is equal to 120, and finally we will get the value of x1 is equal to 40. So we will get another point, that is 40, 0. This is the x coordinate, that is 40, and this is the y coordinate, that is 0. So in this case what we do, we just put the values of decision variables, which are x1 and x2, 1 by 1 equal to 0, in order to get the two different points. Now why we are doing all that? Again, because we put these points in a graph in order to draw the line for this particular constant, so that we can find out the final feasible region, first for the different constraints and then finally for the whole of the problem. So the same procedure is to be repeated with our second equation. Our second equation is 4x1 plus 6x2 is less than or equal to 260. Again, what we'll do, we will put it equal to equality. We will convert this inequality into the equation, that is 4x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 260, and then we will put the value of x1 is equal to 0, and then we can get the value of x2. Then we will put the value of x2 is equal to 0, and then we can get the value of x1 as we did in the first constraint. So if we put x1 in the second equation equal to 0, then we will get 6x2 is equal to 260, and then the final value of x2 will be equal to 43.3. So this is the final value of x2. And again, for the second constant, we got the value for a point, that is 0, 43.3. Again, the x-axis is x point is 0 and the y coordinate is 43.3. Now in order to get the other point, we will put again the value of x2 equal to 0 in that second equation. and then again for x1 is equal to 260, and we will get the value of x1 as 65. So the other point will be equal to 65, 0. So class, in this case again for the second constraint we got another point, that is we got the 2 points, that is 0, 43.3, and the second point is 65, 0. Now what are the x intercept and the y intercept? The line equation, or the line, when we draw this line on a graph, the point at which this line intersects the x-axis, that point is known as x-intercept, and the point at which this line intersects with the y-axis, that point is known as y-intercept. So that is the x-intercept in this particular point, and this is the y-intercept or the y-coordinate at this particular point. Now class, again what we'll have to do, we'll have to take a graph, and accordingly, or according to your own convenience and according to the particular equations available, we can draw some particular scale for this graph on the x-axis as well as on the y-axis. In this particular example, the scale is 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. So this scale should be such that all the values of your constraints, which are now converted into the equations, into this area of graph. On the y-axis again we can take a scale of 0 to 10 to 20 to 30 and so on. Now first what we'll do, we will put that equation, that is equation number 1, onto this graph. Now we have just calculated the 2 different points of equation number 1, that is 0, 43.3 and 65 and 0. Now we will plot these points on this equation, that is, this is the first point, that is 0, 43.3. This is the y-intercept for the first equation, and the second point for this particular equation is 65, 0. That is the x coordinate is 65, and on all that x-axis the y coordinate is of course 0. So one point is here, and the other point for this particular equation, that is equation number 1, is this, and we will connect finally this these 2 points in order to draw a line equation for our equation number 1. Similarly, what we will do, we will put the other 2 points for the other constraints on this graph. Again, this point is 40, 0, that is x-axis, that is x coordinate is 40 and y coordinate is 0. And what's the other point? Here at this point the x coordinate is 0 and y coordinate is 60. So we have already calculated these points, and again we will connect these 2 points in order to draw the equation of line, which is usually referred as linear equation on this graph. Now we have 2 lines on this graph, that is one line is that represented by equation number 1, and the other line is this one, which is represented by equation number 2. Now what we'll have to do, we'll have to find out some feasible region, that is a region which will be satisfied by both of the constraints. As you remember class, in these constraints we are actually interested in less than or equal to type of inequality, that is we should not exceed the left hand side by that value of 120. It means when we draw this constraint in the form of a line on this graph, then the feasible area for this particular line, that should be below that particular line, and the feasible area for this particular line should be below this particular line. And we are interested in the common area which is satisfying both of these constraints. So the highlighted area you can see on this graph, that is the feasible area, or that is the area which is less than this particular line as well as which is less than this particular line. So actually this is the common area which is meeting our both of the constraints. So this is our feasible region. Now feasible region means we can operate at any particular point within this feasible region. We can operate at this particular point. If we operate at this particular point, the value of x1 will be this, and the value of x2 will be this. Similarly, we can operate at this particular point, and accordingly we can get some relevant value of our profit. But in what we are interested? We are interested in maximization of the profit. We are interested in those values of x1 and x2 which can maximize our profit. So class, in the last lecture we discussed about a very important method, that is corner point method. That is, we came to the conclusion that profit is in these sort of equations is always maximized at the corner points. So what are the corner points in this particular case? That is the 0, that is the origin at which the value of x coordinate and the value of y coordinate are already 0. So we are actually not interested in this particular point, but we will take it into account as one of the feasible point. The next feasible point is this corner. Again, using that point corner method. Now this is the A is the another feasible point or the corner point at which the value of x coordinate is 0 and the value of the y coordinate is 43.5. Another point corner point method with the, within that feasible region is the point B. But at this point of problem, we don't know about the values of B, that is the x and y coordinates of B, but we know that this is a point which is the point of intersection of both of the lines. So of course we can calculate the value of B, that what are the x coordinate and what is the y coordinate for this particular point B. So this point B is the point of intersection of both of these lines or constants. The next feasible point in this particular case is that point C. At the point C, the value of the x coordinate is 40 and the value of the y coordinate is 0. So we have 4 corner points in this particular case, that is O, A, B and C. The values of or the x coordinate and y coordinates of these particular points, that is O, A and C, are already known, but the value of B is not known at this particular stage, but we can calculate it by using that simultaneous solution method of linear equations. So let's calculate the coordinates of that point of intersection, that is the point B. Now how we can calculate? We can solve both of these equations, that is equation number 1 and equation number 2, simultaneously. This is our first equation, that is 3x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 120, and this is our second equation, that is 4x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 260. Now what we'll have to do in order to solve these equations, we'll have to make the coefficients of any of these decision variables equal. For example, in this particular line, that is the line number 1, the coefficient of this decision variable x1 is 3, and in this particular point the coefficient of this decision variable x1 is equal to 4. So we will have to find out a constant value कि जिसको हम इन दोनों किसी एक इक्वेशन से मल्टीप्लाई करें या समटाइम्स दोनों इक्वेशन से मल्टीप्लाई करें तो आपके जो कोफिशिएंट्स हैं इन दोनों इक्वेशंस के वो बराबर आ जाएं. नाउ इन दिस पर्टिकुलर केस व्हाट वी कैन डू, we can multiply the equation number 1 by 3. Now why we are multiplying by 3? If we multiply this particular equation by 3, then it will become at this particular point, that is 3 multiplied by 2x2, 6x2, and the coefficients of these decision variables in both cases will become equal. So by subtracting we can cancel this particular decision variable and we can get the values of x1. So people, you must know about this method of simultaneous solution of equations. So this, after multiplying this particular equation 1 by 3, we get the equation as 9x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 360. Again, when we multiply any equation by a particular constant number on either sides, it should be on the either sides of that equation. So next step is we will subtract these equations. This is the first equation after multiplication of that constant number 3, and this is our second equation, and we will subtract it. When we will subtract it, the value of the sign of this equation will be changed. This will be cancelled because it is 6x2 minus 6x2. This will become 9x1 minus 4x1, that is 5x1 is equal to 360 minus 260 is equal to 100. So if you divide both of these sides by 5, we will get the value of x1 is equal to 20. Similarly, if you put this value of x1 is equal to 20 either in equation number 1 or equation number 2, we will get the value of x2. In this particular case, if you put x1 is equal to 20 in equation number 1, we will put that is 3 multiplied by 20, that is the value of x1, plus 2x3 is equal to 2x2 is equal to 120. And so 60 plus 2x2 is equal to 120, 2x2 is equal to 60, x is equal to 30. So this is x2, x2 is equal to 30. So we get the value of that b coordinates as 20 and 30, that is x1 is the x coordinate of that particular point and x2 is the y coordinate of that particular point. So these are the coordinates of that point B, 20, 30. Now what is that point P? That was this point of intersection on our graph, which was actually the point of intersection of both of these lines. Now we have calculated the coordinates of this particular point B, because this is the most important point, because both of these lines intersect at this particular point. Now up to now what we have did, we have defined our objective function, we have our constraint functions, then we solved these constraint functions by first converting them into equality. Then by putting the values of x1 and x2 one by one, we got the different points for these particular constraints, and then we find out the point of intersection of both of these lines. We find out the feasible region on that particular graph, and now this is the stage we'll have to find out the different alternatives, that what are the different alternatives we can which can be used, and finally we'll have to decide about the best alternative which will be able to maximize our profit. So let's make this sort of table. These are the corner points again, 0, A, B and C. These are the three corner points. These are the values of x coordinate and y coordinate on all of these particular points. At this origin, of course, the values of x1 and x2 will be is equal to 0. At this particular point, the point is 0, 43.3. At this particular point B, the coordinates are 20 and 30. At this particular point C, the coordinates are 40 and 0. Now this is our objective function, or the profit maximization function, that is z is equal to 5x1 plus 6x2. Now what we will do, we will put these values of x1 and x2 in this particular objective function. Now in the first particular case, at origin, the value of course will be 0. At the second corner point, that is point A, if we put x1 is equal to 0 and x2 is equal to 43.3 in this particular equation of objective function, we will get the value of objective function as equal to 260. Now what is meant by this particular calculation? It means that if we not produce the product x1, that may be any product, hypothetical product here in this case, if we don't produce that product x1 and we only produce the product x2 equal to 43.3. Now again, it may not be practical, because the different products may not be in points, but for the sake of solving this problem, let's suppose that it is 43.3. Then the profit will become 260. That is, if we don't produce x1 and if we only produce x2 within that particular constraints, our profit will be equal to 260. Similarly, at this point B, the coordinates are 20 and 30. If we put the value of x1 and x2 as 20 and 30 in this objective function, we will get the value of objective function equal to 280. Again, what is meant by this calculation? That if we produce 20 units of product 1 or x1 and 30 units of product 2, that is x2, we will have the profit equal to 280. Then there is another corner point, that is the point C, and the values of coordinates are again 40 and 0. If we put these values of x and y coordinates in this objective function, we will get the objective function equal to 200. Now again, if we produce 40 units of product 1, that is the x1, and if you don't produce the second product at all, then the profit will be equal to 200. Now class, these are the different alternatives available before the operations manager, and of course he will have to decide about the maximization profit, and of course he will have to find out the best combination of the product x1 and x2 which can maximize his profit. And in this particular case our maximum profit is 280, because that is the best alternative among all of these feasible alternatives. So what is the final decision? That the operations manager will have to produce the 20 units of x1 and 30 units of x2 in order to maximize his profit equal to 280. Now you see how important is this method. There is no other possible option available for the operations manager to maximize the profit. Now usually in management we always talk about the maximization of the profit, minimization of the cost, but in this particular example and by using that particular method, we finally conclude that we can maximize the profit by this particular combination, and there is no other alternative feasible. So this is the strength of linear programming method for achieving the particular organizational objectives. Now class, let's take another example, similar example. A manufacturing department produces two products, A and B. Both products are produced on the same automatic machines. The time taken on each machine varies as shown by this table. Now what is meant by this table? Suppose manufacturing department is producing the two products, and this is our assumption that that department is producing only two products, and it is our assumption that the department is producing only two products, that is product A and product B. Now of course in order to produce a particular product, a product will have to pass through the different machines. In this particular case there are the two types of machines through which both of these products will have to be passed through, that is the machine W and machine X. Now product 1 unit of product A takes 2 minutes for machine W and takes 8 minutes on machine X. Similarly, 1 unit of product B takes 6 minutes on machine W and 4 units on machine X. Now what is this table about? We have just interpreted that what is meant by this table and what is meant by these particular values. Now the total machine minutes available are as under: machine W 66, machine X 120. It means, as we know that and we discussed that all the entities, especially the human resource or the machines, have particular constraints. So what are the particular constraints here? The machine W cannot work above the 66 minutes for this particular case. Similarly, we cannot spend more than 120 minutes on machine X. So these are the particular constraints for these machines. The expected profit on product A and B is rupees 16 and rupees 12 respectively. What is meant by that? If we produce 1 unit of product A, we will get the profit of rupees 16, and if we produce 1 unit of product B, we will have the profit of rupees 12. Calculate the number of units of product A and B the department should produce to maximize the profit. Now as you remember class, in the last lecture we discussed that the first step in order to solve linear programming problems not only the linear programming problems, but any other problem, we'll have to first analyze the situation. So this is what how we analyze the situation, that what is meant by all the different values and what is meant by all the different information given to a particular scenario. And after analyzing this particular situation, we came to know that there are two decision variables, that may be x1, x2, or that may be xy. That is the number of products for product A and the number of products for the product B. These are decision variables. Then there are some constraints. In this particular case, the constraints are for the machine W and machine X. And of course, we want to maximize our profit in this particular situation by the best combination of number of products for our product A and product B. So this is what you'll have to first analyze the situation before immediately starting solving a problem. So important is the analysis of a particular situation. Now again, class, we will follow the similar method we have just discussed. First of all, we'll have to formulate an objective function. Now in this particular case, our objective function is the maximization of profit. Now if we produce 1 unit of product A, the profit is 16, and suppose that we are producing x1 units of product A or x units of product A, then the total profit for this particular product A will be equal to 16x. And if we suppose that we are producing y number of products B, and for 1 unit of product B the profit is 12, and for y units of product B the profit will be equal to 12y. So 16x is the total profit for the product A if we produce the x number of products A, and 12y will be the total profit of product B if we produce the y number of products of that particular product B. So what will be the overall profit? That is the total profit for the product A plus the total profit of the second product B will be equal to 16x plus 12y. So finally this is our objective function actually. Z is equal to 16x plus 12y, and we are interested to maximize this objective function. Second, again, as we know that machine W takes about 2 minutes for product A and 6 minutes for product B, and the total available timing available for machine W is 66. So in this particular case, again, if you suppose that if you produce x units of product A and y units of product B, then the first constraint for this particular situation will be 2x plus 6y less than or equal to 66, because we cannot go beyond 66. That is the limitation of that machine W. So our first constraint will be 2x plus 6y is less than or equal to 66. This is our first inequality or constraint in this particular case. Again, the second constraint for the machine X will be equal to 8x plus 4y is equal to 120. That is the maximum available time for machine X. So this is our first constraint. And class, please don't confuse by these values of x and y. Sometimes we take the value of x1 and x2. It's all same, doesn't have any difference. You can always take x1 and x2 here, x1 on the y-axis and x2 on the x1 on the x-axis and x2 on the y-axis, or you can simply take these variables as x and y. So these are our two constraints. Now let's solve again this equation in the similar method. We will first convert these inequalities to 0. This is the first inequality, 2x plus 6y, and we convert it into equation form, that is equal to 66. Putting x is equal to 0, we get y is equal to 11. Putting y is equal to 0 in this particular equation, we will get the value of x is equal to 33. Again, we got 2 points. One is the y-intercept. Again, that is the point which will intersect the y-axis. That is 0, 11. And we get the other point as 33, 0. That is the x-intercept. X-intercept means this is the point on the x-axis. Again, this is the second line equation. We have converted into the equality Putting x is equal to 0, we will get y is equal to 30. The point is 0, 30, that is the y-intercept. Again, putting y is equal to 0 in this particular equation, we get x is equal to 15. So the second point is 15, 0, that is the x-intercept. So now what we'll have to do, we'll have to draw these points on graph. Now this is the graph. Again, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. You have taken an appropriate scale in order to put that particular points on this graph. So this is our first line equation. That is, one point was 0, 11. Now this is the y-intercept, 0, 11, which will be this particular point A shown in this graph, and this is the second point for equation 1, which is 33, 0. This is the x-intercept, and again we will connect this point with this point in order to draw a line for our first constraints. Now if we only see this particular line or this particular constraint, what will be the feasible region for this particular constraint only? That will be the area which will lie below that particular line. Similarly, we will draw the other line, that is the line number 2, at which one of the point is 15, 0, that is the x-intercept, and the other point is this one, that is 0, 30, that is the y-intercept. Again, we will connect these 2 points in order to draw the line for our second constraint. Now again, okay, if you consider only this particular line, the feasible region for this particular line will be the area below that, because we are again interested in that less than equal to constraint. The feasible area will always be below than that of that, but we are not only interested in one of the constraint or the second constraint, but we are interested or we want to meet both of the constraints. So what is the area which is below line 1 as well as line 2? So this common area is being shaded on this particular graph, and this is our feasible region, and any particular point we can operate on this particular feasible region, and accordingly we can have the combination of the products A and B on x and y axis accordingly, but we are interested in the best combination of product A and product Y, which will actually maximize our profit. So again, class, we will use the corner point method. Again, what are the corner points here in this particular case? 0 or O, the point A, that is 0, 11, the point B, that is the point of intersection of line 1 and line 2, and we don't know the coordinates of B yet. And the next point is C, where the coordinates are 15 and 0. So we already know the x and y coordinate or x and y values for this point O, that is 0, 0, this point A, that is 0, 11, this point C, that is C, 15, 0, but we don't know the coordinates of this point B. And how we can calculate the value of B? Again, by using the simultaneous method, because this point is the intersection of line 1 and line 2, and by solving simultaneously the equation 1 and 2, we can get the value of B. Now again, this is our first equation, this is our second equation, and again we'll have to equate the coefficients of any of the variable, that is x or y, so that we can subtract both of the equations, and finally we can get the value of a particular variable. So in this particular case, we will multiply the equation 1 by 4, and then we will get the equation 1 as 8x plus 24y is equal to 264. The second equation will remain as same, that is 8x plus 4y is equal to 120. Now why we did multiply this equation by 4? In order to have the equal coefficients for this for both of these equations. Now class, in mathematics, if we multiply an equation on either side, on the left hand side and on the right hand side, it doesn't make any difference. So we can always use this method in order to equate the coefficients of the variables by multiplying a particular equation on either side of that equation. So we get 20y, this 8x minus 8x will be cancelled, and 20y will be equal to 144, and finally the value of y will become as 7.2. Now put this value of y, that is 7.2, in equation 1. We will get 2x plus 6 into 7.2, that is the value of y, is equal to 66, and by solving this particular equation we get the value of x is equal to 11.4. So what are the coordinates of this particular point B? That is 11.4 and 7.2. So in this way we can get the value of coordinates for that particular point of intersection of both of the lines. Now again class, here in this particular case, what is meant by 11.4 and 7.2, it is one of the alternative that the manufacturer or the production manager is going to produce 11.4 products for the product A and 7.2 number of products for the product B, which may of course be sometimes not feasible because the number of products may not be in points. So please don't be confused by that. This is an hypothetical example, just an example that how to you can solve this problem. So let's assume that this is possible, and we can how we can maximize the profit. But in reality, of course, the production manager can have arranged the most feasible values. Now again, we'll have to make this table of the different alternatives. Again, these are the different corner points. That is the point O, origin point, point A, B, and C. These are the relevant x and y coordinates for these of the corner points, that is 0, 0, 0, 11, 11.4, 7.2, 15 and 0, and by putting one by one these x and y coordinates in this objective function, we will get the value of our objective function equal to 0, 132, 268.8 and 240 and 240 respectively. So how we can maximize our profit? That is the point B, that is the best possible option. That is, if we are able to produce 11.4 units of product A and 7.2 units of product B, then our profit will be maximized. And what is the maximum value of the profit? That will be equal to 268.8. So again, we take another example for that maximization problem, in which we are interested to have a combination of two products which can be helpful for the operations manager to maximize the profit. And you have learned that how we can achieve this particular objective of operations manager through, of course, that graphical method of linear programming. Okay, class, we have discussed different examples in which there were only two constraints. Now let's take another example in which there are more than two constraints, that is the three constraints. Now let's consider a very similar example, that is a manufacturing department produces two products A and B. Both products are produced on the same automatic machines. The time taken on each machine varies as shown by this table. Now, this is a similar problem which we just have solved, but what is the difference? There is another constraint, that is the constraint for the machine Y. Now we suppose that both of these products A and B are passing through these three machines. That may be a sort of electronic machine, that may be a sort of assembling machine, that may be a sort of fabrication machine. So through passing that particular stages of production, both of these products will have to pass through these particular machines. And of course there will be a particular time which will have to spend for the particular product on these machines, and the total machine minutes available are, that is machine W 66 minutes, machine X 120 minutes, machine Y 96 minutes. Again, if the operation manager is able to know that if we sell 1 unit of product A, we can get the profit of 16 rupees, and if we be able to sell 1 unit of product B, we can have the profit of rupees 12. So again, we are interested in finding out the optimum number of units or the optimum combination of the number of units for product A and product B, which can maximize our profit. So again, what we did, we just analyzed this particular situation, and finally we have the idea that we want to maximize the profit. Then second, we have the different constraints. In this particular case, there are the 3 constraints, and we'll have to maximize our objective again within the limits of these constraints. So let's again solve this question. The method is similar. Again, we will use the graphical method. So this is the maximization equation, that is z is equal to 16x plus 12y. Now you must have known and you must have practiced that how we can formulate this profit equation. Now let me tell you once again that if you are producing 1 unit of product A, the profit is 16, and let's suppose we are producing x units of product A, and the total profit then for the product A will be equal to 6x. Similarly, if you are producing 1 unit of product B, the profit is 12 rupees, and suppose that we are producing y units of product B, the total profit for product B will be 12y, and if we combine the total profit for product A and product B, then the final objective function or the profit function will be equal to z is equal to 16x plus 12y. This is the profit function or profit maximization function, in which what we are interested to maximize this particular function, or in other simple words, we are interested to find out that value of the decision variables, which are x and y in this particular case, which can maximize our total profit. Now again, there are 3 constraints in this particular case. One constraint is related to the machine W. Machine W takes 2 minutes for product A and 6 minutes for product B, and the total machine minutes available for machine W is 66. So again, one of our inequality will be 2x plus 6y will be less than or equal to 66. So this is our first constraint, that is 2x plus 6y less than or equal to 66. This is our first constraint. Similarly, this is our second constraint for machine X, that is 8x plus 4y less than or equal to 120. Similarly, we have some third constraint, that is 4x plus 8y less than or equal to 96. So these are our 3 constraints. Now again, we will solve this particular problem in the similar fashion as we did for the 2 particular constraints. What's the difference here? There are 3 constraints. There can be more constraints, but the method is almost same. So first we take the line 1, that is the first constraint, and we put it to equality, that is 2x plus 6y is equal to 66. If you put x is equal to 0, we will get the value of y is equal to 11. If we put y is equal to 0, we can get the value of x is equal to 33. So in this particular case, we can get the 2 points, that is 0, 11. This is the y-intercept, and 33, 0. This is the x-intercept. Now these are the points for that particular equation 1. For line 2, that is the second constraint, again we put it equal to 120, putting x is equal to 0, y is equal to 30. Putting y is equal to 0, x is equal to 15. Again the 2 points are 0, 30 and 15, 0. Similarly, as there are 3 constraints, so we'll have to solve the third constraint or the third equality as well. We will put again that inequality into equality, and by putting x is equal to 0, we will get y is equal to 12. By putting y is equal to 0, we will get x is equal to 24, and in this particular case for third equation, the two different points are 0, 12 and 24, 0. So by putting the decision variables x and y equal to 0 one by one for all of the three equations, we get the two different points for each of the equation. Now when we are able to have these 2 points, we are also able to put that points on the graph in order to draw the line. Now class, suppose this is the graph. Again, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and you have taken some suitable scale on x-axis, some suitable scale on the y-axis. Now what we'll have to do, we'll have to draw those lines on this particular graph. This is our first line. This is our first line. What were the coordinates for the first line? That was 0, 11 and 33, 0. So this is the point 0, 11 and this is the point 33, 0. We will connect both of these points, and it is always better to represent the lines by their numbers, so that you may not have any confusion that where and what actually the two points are intersecting at various points. So it will be more clear if we put that one on either sides of that line. Similarly, we will draw the equation for the second line, and this is the second line, that is 15, 0 and 0, 30. So this is the second line. Similarly, the third constraint or the third line, this is the third line, and we also draw that third line. So what we did, we draw all the 3 lines on that particular graph. And now again, what will be the feasible region? The feasible region will be that region which is the less area for all of the 3 lines, that is line 1, line 2, line 3. So this shaded area is that area which is less than all of the 3 lines, that is line 1, line 2 and line 3. So this is our feasible region. And next we will point out the corner points. What are the corner points? 0, A, B, this particular point C, and this particular point D. Now again, we know the coordinates of O, 0, 0, coordinates of this point A, that is 0, 11, and the coordinate of this corner point 15, 0 on this feasible region. But we don't know the 2 points, that is the point B and that is the point 0. As you can see, class, from this particular graph, that this point B is the intersection of this line and this line, that is the line number 3 and line number 1. So point B, please remember, point B is the intersection of point 1 and point 3. So in order to find the value of B, we'll have to solve this equation 1 and 3. The next point is C, that is this particular point within the feasible region, which is actually the intersection of this line 2 and this line 3. So point C is the intersection of line 2 and line 3, and we will solve again the equation 2 and 3 in order to find that particular point C on this graph. Now so again, class, for B coordinates we will have to solve 1 and third equation. So this is the first equation, this is the third equation. Again, we will multiply the equation 1 by 2 in order to equate the coefficients of the variable x. We will get the value of y equal to 9. If we put this value of 9 in either of these equations, we can get the value of x is equal to 6. So in this way, what we did, we get the coordinates of that particular point B, which is the intersection of line 1 and line 3. Next, in order to find the coordinates of point C, what we will do, we will solve the equation 2 and equation 3. Now why we are doing that? Why we are solving equation 2 and equation 3? Because this particular point C is the intersection of second line and third line. So sometimes you'll have to draw that lines on that particular graph precisely, so you can clearly know that what point is actually the intersection of which lines. So important is that intersection point, especially when there are 3 lines or more than 3 lines. So again, this is the second equation, this is the third equation. We will multiply the equation 2 by 2 and then solve both of these equations. We will get the value of x is equal to 12 and the value of y is equal to 66. So these are the coordinates for the particular point C, that is 12 and 6. Now again, we have all the points, that is the coordinate points, that is O, A, B, C, D. Now again, if you refer to that particular graph, this O, A, B, C, D, this is our feasible region. So that's why we have calculated the x and y coordinates for all these particular points, and one by one, if we put all of these particular points in this objective function or the profit function, we can get the corresponding value of profit. And again, class, in this particular case, the corresponding or the maximum value of profit is 264, will be achieved by producing 12 units of product A and 6 units of product B. So this is the best combination which can maximize our profit function. And what is the value of profit function? Again, that is the 264. So class, in this particular case, we discussed the 3 particular constraints, that how we can put those 3 constraints on a graph, and accordingly how we can resolve or solve these equations in order to find the best combination of the product mix which can maximize our profit. Okay, last simple example for that maximization case. Thereafter we will discuss the minimization case, but let's have a sort of practice with this maximization of profit case. Again, a similar example. There are 2 departments. Now this is a very practical example. Again, there are 2 departments in some furniture company, that is the carpentry department and the painting and varnishing department. And actually this company is interested to produce the different tables and chairs for their customers. And again, what is this table about? If they produce one table, there will be some time constraints for carpentry department and painting department. If they produce one table, carpentry department will take 4 hours and the painting department will take 2 hours in order to produce one table. Similarly, carpentry department will take 3 hours and painting department will take 1 hour in order to produce one chair. So these are the total time available in hours for these particular departments, that is carpentry department and painting department. It means that carpentry department cannot work beyond 240 hours. So that is the constraint. Similarly, painting department cannot work beyond 100 hours. Again, if you produce 1 unit of table, you will get the profit of $7. If you produce 1 unit of chair, we will get the profit of $5. So our profit function will be 70. Now in this particular case, we are taking these decision variables as T and C, that is for tables and chairs. You can always take x1, y1, you can always take x5, you can always take x1, x2, or it doesn't make any difference. So these are our 2 constants, that is 4t plus 3c is less than 240, 2t plus 1c is less than equal to 100, that is the paint and varnishing constant, and this is our objective function, that is 70 plus 5c. We'll have to maximize this function. Now again, class, you have learned that how we solve the equations and how we draw that equations on the graph. Now this is the carpentry constraint. This particular line is the carpentry constraint, and this particular line is the painting constraint, and this particular point is the point of intersection of both of these lines. Now again, this is the feasible area, that is the area which meets the requirement of carpentry department and which meets the time requirements in hours for painting department. So this is our feasible area, and Okay class, in the very first example we have talked about the ISO profit line. Now let's again remind that particular concept, that is we will put an hypothetical value for our profit, which is 210 in this particular case. If we take our total profit, that is again a hypothetical value equal to 210, then this will be the profit line. Now how we will get this profit line? Again, by putting t is equal to 0, we will get the value of c. By putting c is equal to 0, we will get the value of t. And by putting these two particular points on this particular case, we will have this profit line. This is again the next hypothetical value. We will get next profit line. We will go on draw this profit line away from the origin up till that particular profit line touches that corner point of that feasible region. So this is our optimal point actually in this case. So this method we just introduced in the very first example we did about linear programming, that was the ISO profit lines. So again I repeated that concept here about the ISO profit line. So again at this optimal point, the coordinates, relevant coordinates on x-axis and y-axis, if we compare it on either side of that graph, that will be equal to 30 and 40. And of course in this particular case we have used that ISO profit line method. We can also, and we should always use that corner point method as well, that is this point, this point, this point, this point, and we already know that how to calculate this point of intersection for the two lines. So again if you use that corner point method, the point will remain same, the optimal point will remain same. Either we use the ISO profit line method or we use the corner point method. So in either case our profit will be maximized by making 30 tables and 40 chairs. So I have just repeated that method here, so you can have in your mind that we have the two methods in order to solve this sort of linear programming problems. One was the ISO profit line method, the other one is the corner point method, but mostly we use the corner point method because that serves the purpose. So again if we use some the corner point method, then what can be the feasible region? That is the optimal point here will be remain same, that is the point 3. So our profit will be maximized at this point 3, and the value again will be same, that is t 30 and c 40. So class, we just practiced some practical sort of problems that by using that linear programming method and especially that graphical method, how we can maximize our profit. Up till now we solved the different problems in which we were interested to maximize the profit. In next lecture we will discuss that if you are interested to minimize the cost, then what should have to do. This again the same method can be used. We can always achieve this function of cost minimization by using that graphical method as well. So class, see you next time for having a practice with that minimization problems. Take care of your health and best of luck. Khuda Hafiz.